The Locked On Podcast Network presents the College Sports Big 3 in 30. The three biggest stories in college sports. From our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. Bringing you the real story. Why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The College Sports Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest story in college sports.
What up, dude? Are y'all fired up in Oxford that we get this game annually?
Oh, yeah, yes. That was a non-negotiable. I didn't even think it was an option that Ole Miss wouldn't get LSU annually. I'm pretty fired up about that. What I'm really fired up about is that Ole Miss and LSU could end up back on Halloween. I am really fired up about that. That is something that needs to happen. Now that the Alabama game is not an annual opponent for LSU, that bye week before on Halloween weekend, kind of the need for that goes away. And if the SEC is doing what they're supposed to do, that game's going to end up back on Halloween weekend.
It's interesting, man. I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole, but it's interesting that was a non-negotiable. I don't know that was the feeling here, which is so weird for LSU, Stephen, because like you all have Mississippi State, right? Like you've got your in-state, the game that of course, like that was a non-negotiable. Egg Bowl is going to be played. LSU just doesn't have those. You know what I mean? Like it's Ole Miss, it's Florida, it's Alabama. Now it's Texas A&M as well. It's Arkansas for the stupid boot. We're a weird collective here because we lack even Georgia, which doesn't have their conference in-state opponent, has their thing with Auburn. I don't know, man. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing the Halloween thing come back. I guess I just hadn't even thought of that yet, that it could play out that way. Yeah,
something like the last three times in the last 10 years when they've beaten Ole Miss in Tiger Stadium, LSU fans have stormed the field. I mean,
so I have a feeling on that altogether. Like, stop storming the field, period.
Yeah.
I don't care who it's against. Like, stop doing it. Like, they storm the field against everybody now for big. It's like, stop. Children, stop doing this. Stop running on. Like, you've won 3 national titles since 2003. Stop running onto the field. Like, it's just not worth doing. But I don't know. Who might it be a killjoy?
But part of the reason that LSU doesn't have a rival is because from the 70s and 80s and the early 90s, Ole Miss wasn't good. I mean, not consistently. And the rivalry that was built up with Johnny Vaught way back in the 50s and 60s and all of that kind of just went away in the mind of the LSU fans, but that never went away in the minds of the Ole Miss fans.
That's a fascinating point, because I would say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but like if you ask my grandfather, like he would tell you Ole Miss, right? You're right, the Johnny Vaught, like that old 50s, 60s. My dad would probably tell you like Alabama from the 70s. For me, born in the 80s, growing up through the 90s, the LSU Auburn thing for me was awesome. My coworkers here at ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge, Jacob Hester, Matt Flynn, were part of some great games with LSU in Florida. So they've been moaning that LSU in Florida is not going to be played every year. It's kind of just like, I just think it's generational, but it would be great, man. I'll tell you, Lane's got this thing rolling in a way that I don't know when the last time Ole Miss has had this much sustained success. And I know this is a big one, obviously, if Ole Miss is going to continue toward a path in the playoff. And I know that the giant news about Trinidad Chambliss. So, Steve, let's start there, man. Fill us in. I mean, that's obviously the biggest storyline in this game right now is who, and it's going to be Chambliss starting, but fill us in on all that there.
Trinidad Chambliss is going to get his third start in the LSU game, and that makes sense because last year, we'll talk about it, LSU's kryptonite on defense for Blake Baker was the running quarterback. I think Jalen Milroe is still running for touchdowns at this point. But Austin Simmons practiced fully on Tuesday for Ole Miss, and he is available even more so than he was. And to put that in perspective, the last 2 weeks, he was just in a boot watching practice. Okay. This time he was a full participant in practice. But Austin Simmons at 90%, you don't face this LSU defensive line with a quarterback at 90% on a bum ankle. You just don't do that. So you put in a mobile quarterback that that last year Blake Baker had trouble with Texas A&M, Alabama, and those games. And Trinidad Chambliss, he's just kind of the story of college football right now. He has a cool name. He's a really twitchy player. He makes all kinds of explosive plays. It's a fun matchup with the D2 guy, Trinidad, going up against that LSU defense that honestly, Matt, I'm going to be honest. When I watch LSU play, they look like Ole Miss in 2024. They do.
Yeah.
All over. Defense, everything. Struggling offensively, the inability to run the football. They are almost a carbon copy of that 2024 Ole Miss team. And the way you handle that LSU defense is probably the same way that they handled last year the Ole Miss defense. Score points, move the ball, get the explosives when they're available, and try to keep this a one-score game in the fourth quarter and let the pressure build on LSU. If they're going all in, they know they're going all in. Make them feel the pressure, especially on the road. And I think that might be the best shot for Ole Miss in this game.
Hey, does the offense change if it's Chambliss or Simmons?
It does. It actually does. It might look same, and there's a lot of the same concepts that are run whenever their passing plays are going about. But Ole Miss was in 13 personnel in the first quarter of last week's game. They don't do that with Austin Simmons. I mean, they had Luke Hall, Trace Bruckler, and all those things. They played 4 tight ends in the first quarter against Tulane. So there are going to be more quarterback design runs. They're going to try and use his strengths as a weapon essentially against this LSU defense. Obviously, Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss is going to try to take the aggressiveness and use that against the LSU defense. But it's going to be much more run heavy. You're going to see more exotic personnel groups, and they're going to, it's going to sound weird, but throw the ball down the field a little bit more.
I have a theory about Chambliss. This is not a hard and fast held belief. But I'm curious. I want to bounce it off you. I'm curious your thought. So he's obviously been very impressive. The 300 pass yards, 100 rush yards last week against Tulane. And I've had a chance to watch Ole Miss. I didn't watch week 1, but I've watched the other 3 games. Just because of the time of day, it's worked out that I've been able to see him a good bit. Division II, Ferris State, you step up, and obviously a significant step up in level of competition. Coming against Arkansas, where no one really knows who you are, and Arkansas's defense is terrible. And then you play Tulane. And he's been impressive. I'm curious if this is just going to be a completely different animal for him with this LSU defense, that as impressive as Chambliss has been to this point, is this maybe this is I guess my theory would be, this is a step up that he's about to see something he hasn't seen yet, or anything close to it from Division II or Arkansas or Tulane, that this could overwhelm him a little bit with what he's about to see from Blake Baker.
Yeah, this is the best defense potentially that he is going to see all year. Now, the benefit of that is if Trinidad Chambliss does all right against LSU and Ole Miss wins the game, you feel pretty good about him going to Athens. You feel pretty good about him going to Norman if he's the guy. But the other thing is absolutely true, and that's probably why it's important that Austin Simmons is more ready than anybody even really expected, because of there is the chance that this is such a step up. This is a bridge too far for Trinidad Chambliss. And we'll see on Saturday night. It's going to be on Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss to put the kid in advantageous situations to where you're not dropping back to where, hey, it's 3rd and 11 and you're having to go against Harold Perkins coming off the edge. That's not what you want. You need to move the ball. You need to honestly play a little bit slow. I know tempo is their thing, but they have the athletes to play slow and just kind of methodically old school move the football. It doesn't matter if it's a low scoring game. If Ole Miss wins this game, they're likely a favorite to make the playoff this year. I
agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And if LSU wins this game, they're likely a favorite to make the playoff this year. This game is absolutely massive. And honestly, Matt, it's the game of the week this week in SEC play. I don't care. Don't tell me about Alabama and Georgia. Just because of the brands, they're going to Alabama and Georgia. This is the game that has a chance to be the game of the week.
Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's a 401k or properties or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. I linked all my accounts to Monarch and immediately spotted a few subscriptions I wasn't even using. Canceling those all can save you money every month. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNFL.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs.
Today is the day we look around college football, we give out our locks, but most importantly, right here at the beginning, we give you our official prediction. I told you I've changed my mind 20 times about this game, and so it's time to lock something in.
Ooh.
Clint, you all know the stakes. You all know what is on the line. I don't have to set this game up for you. Clint,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the honor off the tee box. How is this game going to play out, and what's the final score going to be? And as you answer that question, you can tell me if you're locking anything up.
Daniel, I'm locking it up.
He's locking something up.
This game got a stranglehold lock.
Yikes.
Stranglehold.
Wowzers. Okay. Just as a refresher for the people, at time of recording, the line is currently sitting at 3. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You're saying 3?
I'm
3
saying
points.
3.
Georgia is favored by 3 points at home, and the over-under in the game is, I just had it on there it is, 53 and 1/2 points. So stranglehold lock, and it is what?
I'm just gonna let's chat, fam.
Yeah, bring it in.
33 games is nice. It's cute. It's a good number. It's fun to think about these things. Home win streak. It's great. It's also fun to think about regular season win streaks before. It's fun to think about Alabama busting up streaks for us. We've talked ad nauseum about this. It's fun looking at rushing stats. It's fun talking about Nick Saban. It's fun talking about who's going to put belt to butt and whose daddy is who and the curse and the black stupid jerseys and the black eyes.
Yeah.
It's fun to talk about all that. I simply want to I want to make this about football for a hot second. May I?
Okay. Just this one time.
I want to make it about football.
Just this one time, though.
At the end of the day, you still have to go out. It's paper. It's numbers. It doesn't mean anything.
That's
it
right.
means something when I have stats and reference that give me a context for what's about to take place on Saturday. And here's what I know.
Okay.
These are the two most talented teams in the nation. There's no doubt in my mind. Recruiting rankings out of high school tell me, in transfer portal, tell me that the most talent resides on these two rosters. It will be on the field. That's great. The second thing that I know definitively, we have the best football coach in all of America roaming the sidelines for Georgia. Third thing I know, this team is different than last year. Kirby has already said it. He's been so direct about this. This team is playing as a team. He doesn't care about individuals, and that was last year. When he has the opportunity, he comments about this team. Daniel, since 2017, the last time Kirby Smart lost a home game, it took double overtime, a missed field goal, and 4 turnovers to lose to South Carolina in 2017.
Permanent rival South Carolina. Sorry, I had to get it in.
Sankey, I had hope for you. I had hope for you. You have diminished that hope. If you want to say talent-wise we're a wash, fine. You want to tell me advantages we're kind of a wash, fine. You cannot tell me that coming off a bye week at home, when the last time he lost at home, it took all manner of turnovers and a missed field goal to only lose by 20-17 to South Carolina. You can't tell me factually. You can get in your feels. That's fine, fan. You can feel all you want. But you tell me that you don't lock up the home favorite in a giant game with playoff implications, coming off of a bye with so much at stake, with a better team than you had last year, in which you were beating the team that should have wiped you out at home and not let you come back, except Cardiac Dogs came back to play. Daniel, give me Georgia and I'll give the points, and I'm locking it up. This game is Georgia's to win, and they will win.
All right. Let me tell you the things that I know definitively about this game.
Great.
Okay. I know that you could call it whatever you want. And again, all joking aside, it's fun to go back and forth with Alabama fans. I'm just going to speak honestly about football for a moment. Okay. The reason Alabama lost to Florida State is because they weren't ready to play the game and they were not prepared to tackle. They missed 1,000 tackles in that game. Clearly, the work that they did in fall camp or whatever, thumping people or doing whatever it was that they were doing, whatever patty cake drills that they were running, that Nick Saban would have rolled over in his grave if he had ever seen them do, were not working. They were not ready to tackle. They could not tackle Florida State. Those issues are fixed, Clint. So we can talk about how many rushing yards per game Alabama allows.
Sure.
Those issues are fixed. Georgia's not going to have a ton of success running the football. This Alabama team will be ready to play, and they will tackle better.
Defensive line is healthy for Alabama.
Here's something else that I know. Jam Miller is going to make a difference in this game. He is going to make an impact in this game. He is back, and that is a big deal for him because he's markedly better than all the rest of their backs. Justice Haynes ain't walking through that door, Alabama fans. He gone. By the way, he's quite good.
He's quite good.
And so is Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
And so are all the other players that chose to leave you.
Interesting.
But still a lot of talent there. Jam Miller's better than all those other backs. He's going to make it.
Hands down.
And so I do expect Alabama to have more success running the football. So more success stopping the run, more success running the football. I also expect Georgia's secondary to be up to the challenge. I expect Georgia's secondary to be improved. I do not expect Ryan Williams to go off the way that he did last year or Jeremy Bernard the way that he does every game this year because he is a definitively better football player than Ryan Williams is.
1,000%.
I expect Georgia's secondary to be improved. I feel confident, Clint, that the final score of this game is going to be 27-24. I almost would bet on an exact score if I could on FanDuel. I feel confident the final score of this game is going to be 27-24. I have no idea who's going to win. I'm being dead serious. I have no idea who's going to win. I will go with, for my official prediction, I will go with Georgia because they're the home team for no other reason. And for no other reason, I'm telling you, I think these teams are dead even in terms of put them on a neutral field 100 times. And I think they go 51-49 or something. I really do. I think that Alabama is that good. I think the reason they lost to Florida State is because they weren't ready in week 1. If that Florida State game's in week 2, I think they blow Florida State out. I really do. And so I'm going 27-24. That's about the range that I think the game's going to be. And so I'm not going to lock up the over-under. I'm not going to lock up the spread because it's right on the number. I don't have a lock in this game. I am officially picking Georgia.
Come back tomorrow when I have Don't Sleep on because I'll just tell you this is interesting to me. Injury report, Daniel.
Oh, yeah.
One Gaston name ain't mentioned one time. Ernest Green is.
Oh, boy. Who did we say earlier in the week was the most important offensive lineman we needed to have back?
That's what you said.
It was Ernest Green. And I stand by it.
His name is Juan Gaston.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for the weekend with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however I like to bet, whether I'm in the mood for a player prop, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to my Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
Illinois versus USC in a new age Big Ten battle in Champaign.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
USC versus Illinois. They haven't played each other since the Rose Bowl back in 2008.
Didn't go too well for us.
All right, so it's another crossover edition. Locked on USC, Locked on Illini. USC, they're 4-0. They're coming off a home win against Sparty, 45-31. Sonny, you guys, you had a little bit of a rough weekend. What the heck happened in Bloomington, man?
Yeah, it was just one of those, just a bad night overall Saturdays. The first quarter didn't end up too bad. It was like 14-7, and then the wheels absolutely just fell off. If you really want the cliff notes, if you're going to really make me relive through that whole nightmare again, I'm going to make this as quick as possible. But essentially, you're talking about Indiana and Illinois, whether they acknowledge it or not. Kurt Cignetti and Brett Bielema know that they're kind of fighting for the same spot in the Big Ten Conference. And so this game was very important for both programs. And coming into the game, it turns out that two of Illinois' starting cornerbacks were out, injury report. So we're like, well, one we expected, Xavier Scott. Jaheim Clark was supposed to play, but he was marked as out on the injury report. Not ideal. Then in the second quarter, we lose the captain of our defense, Miles Scott, who has the earpiece. So now we're down three of our, very important defensive backs in that defensive backfield. And then to keep this nightmare going, Mark, we ended up losing 6 out of our 7 defensive backs in that backfield. So we're at the point where, Kurt Cignetti's not one to let his foot off the pedal. And so when you put a potential number 1 overall quarterback, match him up with an assassin of a head coach and some very good wide receivers, it was just one of those where, if I'm being real with you, Indiana was the better team that night, Saturday night, but it's the injuries and the depletedness of that roster that made the score 63-10.
Yeah, no. I look, like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch the entire game. I every time I blinked, there was a new score on the scoreboard. Yeah. But to your point, I mean, you lose 6 out of your top 7 DBs, and you've got a veteran quarterback. You have a couple of good receivers for the Hoosiers. And as you mentioned, Cignetti, he likes to play the role of bad cop, I guess is the best way to put it. He likes to get in. So, yeah, that probably didn't bode well. That's a bad combination.
Exactly. I mean, I was telling my Discord, that was a game in Illinois situation that 90% of the country would have lost by 30-plus points. It's
not 53 points better than your squad. I'll go there. Yeah. That day they were better. 53 points, that's what the scoreboard said. But play that game again in Champaign or maybe a neutral site, and you have your, at least half of your personnel available.
Right. That'd be nice. Yeah.
A different result.
Yeah, it is. You just got to tip your cap to them, and then you just move on, right? You're still 3-0. Coming into that game, you had the longest win streak in the entire nation, having won 7 in a row. You got your butts beat, and it just so happens the entire nation watched it. You fell 14 spots in the AP poll. Now everyone's counting you out, and so now it's, Brett Bielema just recently got an extension. He's, I think, the 4th or 5th highest paid coach in the Big Ten Conference. We're going to find out this weekend if, what he has up his sleeve when it comes to really rebuilding the confidence of a team that was shaken Saturday night.
Well, and that's what I want to talk to you about in this first segment, is what does USC need to know? Because I watched Illinois when you guys played Duke, and that, Duke was moving the ball, but, you guys created 5 turnovers, and that was the difference, and you saw it on the scoreboard. So if you're Brett Bielema right now, what have you learned about your team through 4 games?
you've got a very smart quarterback. You've got depth when it comes to your wide receivers and your defensive backfield. Well, I mean, we'll see when it comes to the injury situation coming Saturday. And you've got a veteran team.
Okay.
Big question marks right now. And I'm telling you, Mark, we've had to deal with this for the third straight year. It seems like every season we start off the first third of the season or first half of the season wondering what is wrong with our offensive line. And that's exactly what's going on this year. We were counting on this offensive line, which, by the way, we return everybody. And we're a top 1/3 offensive line in the Big Ten Conference last year, returning a future NFLer in J.C. Davis.
Okay.
When we got all those guys to sign on to come back, we thought, hey, you've got a veteran offensive line. You got a senior quarterback who's going to be in the same system for 3 years in a row, playing under the same head coach, same offensive coordinator. And that's kind of like a cheat code. We thought we were set. But the offensive line, once again, for the third straight years, just has a super rocky start. And it's up to Brett and our offensive line assistant coach, Bart Miller, to figure this out, because it struggled in that first half against Duke. It even struggled in that first half against Western Michigan. But eventually, halftime adjustments were made, and Illinois dominated in the second half. I think they had a combined score of 56-9 in the second half of those two games. But it struggled in the first half against Indiana, but Indiana's got some dogs on that defensive line, just like you guys do. And so it's one of those situations where Illinois couldn't overcome and couldn't make any halftime adjustments because simply the scheme and the talent on the other side was better. And Brett, well, the pressure's on because right now they've got to figure something out because you guys are going to throw similar monsters at us on Saturday.
Yeah, right now USC leads the nation in sacks. I guess the question USC fans want to know about is your offensive line better at run blocking or pass protection? Because you're bringing up USC's D line. If they're not getting to the quarterback, they're also creating a lot of pressure. So, what should USC fans know about your O line? What's the strength right now? Is your running back healthy? I think I read somewhere that you're dealing with a running back issue as well.
Yeah, we've got a three-headed monster when it comes to the running backs. We've got Caden Fagan, who's 6'3", 255 pounds. We've got Aiden Lawfrey, who's you're referencing. He was supposed to be healthy. He wasn't on the injury report last week against Indiana, but he ended up not playing. I guess he had some issues in the pregame, so they decided not to test it. And then we have a young sophomore named Khalil Valentine, who's kind of different from the other two. He's kind of a quick, speedy, can change directions very quickly type of running back. Again, you have three solid running backs back there, but the problem right now is that Luke Altmaier is just not getting much time when it's time to make a throw. And so if you're asking me which one is a strong suit right now between pass protection and rushing, I couldn't tell you. Our running backs aren't getting much when it comes to the running game. I believe we had 2 yards total rushing against Indiana. And then the pass protection, Luke Altmaier got sacked 7 times. So it's simply one of those. And it boggles my mind because this is a Brett Bielema team, Mark. Brett Bielema is supposed to be known for his offensive linemen. There's no head coach in the entire country that has put in more offensive linemen to the NFL than Brett. And yet, for some reason, this is an issue.
This is what concerns me is, I'm looking at the, Vegas, and they're saying, all right, USC, I think the line started as a touchdown favorite. It's dropped a little bit, but Illinois is supposed to be a good team. They just got embarrassed nationally, and here comes USC on homecoming. Are they running into a buzzsaw where Illinois says, you know what? We're tired of everybody, pointing their fingers and laughing at us. Let's go show everybody why we were considered a playoff team. So that's my concern. And some of that's a little bit of a PTSD because I'm still waiting for USC to beat a ranked team. I don't care if it's at home or on the road. They need to check that box before I'm ready to say, all right, USC is back. Even though, they have some flaws as well, they can play with anybody. That's what I need to see. And that's what concerns me is that Illinois is going to put it together this weekend.
I mean, that's a valid concern, Mark. A lot of the country, and not even talking about national fans, a lot of Illini fans have essentially counted us out on Saturday. But I will tell you that since he's taken over Illinois, Brett Bielema tends to follow up embarrassing losses with some quality wins in the very next game. So what I'm hoping is that, again, Saturday, it's homecoming in Champaign. Big Noon is visiting Champaign for the first time ever. So, again, 63-10 on Saturday wasn't nice, but I hope the energy is going to be there. The fan base is going to be there. And now that a lot of people have counted Illinois essentially out, I thought this line should have been a pick 'em. I think a week ago it would have been a pick 'em, or at least very close. But then having this sort of drubbing happen to have, I think last check for me it was 7.5, believe it or not, according to our friends on FanDuel. I'm hoping this is just one of those situations where Brett and that coaching staff are going to be in their offices 24 hours a day, coming up with a game plan. And the key is just fix that offensive line. If you fix that offensive line, I think everything else will take care of itself.